Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal. As we know, the US elections are due on Tuesday this week. How the market may behave or react after the elections, I did this comparative analysis using previous elections data. This data provides a good basis to make an assessment of market behavior after these elections. I also tried to use NVIDIA as an example in my analysis. Now, let's get started. I did this analysis using the prior three elections that happened on 3rd November 2020, before that 8th November 2016, and before that 6th November 2012. I collected the adjusted closing price for 2 months after each election and also few days before each election. For example, for 2020 elections, I collected the data 2 months after the election. That would be 4th November 2020 to 4th January 2021, right? And also few days before the elections. So that would be this. And I gathered this data for all three major indices, that is Nasdaq, S&P, and also Dow Jones. So in my analysis, I have adjusted closing price for each day and I calculate the percentage change, and also I calculated the cumulative percentage change from few days before the elections until 2 months after the elections. I did this for Nasdaq, S&P, and also Dow Jones. And for 2016, I did the same thing 2 months after the election. So election on 2016 happened on 6th November 2016. So 2 months after that is 6th January 2017. And also a few days prior to the elections. So that would be these days before the elections. So I did this data gathering for Nasdaq, S&P, and Dow Jones as well, as you can see. And also I calculate the percentage change for each day and also the cumulative percentage change from few days before the election until 2 months after the election. And for 2012, I did the same thing. Now I'm showing you the market data regarding 2012 elections. So 2 months after the elections date, that is 4th November 2012 through 4th January 2013, and also a few days prior to the elections. As you can notice here, I'm scrolling down. So you see that? So those many days I also included in my analysis. And I did this data gathering for Nasdaq, S&P, and also Dow Jones. And also I calculate the percentage change and cumulative percentage change for this data. So now I have the relevant data for all three elections to understand how market behaved just after the election till next 2 months after each elections. I plotted the data between the dates and the cumulative percentage change. Let me show you the graphs. So here you see the graph for Nasdaq cumulative percentage change after 2020 elections. You see that after the elections, Nasdaq went up, and based on the cumulative percentage change basis, Nasdaq was up about 11% after 2 months from the elections. And if you take a look S&P for 2020 elections, you see that S&P also went up after the elections, and 2 months after the elections, S&P was around 6%. Okay, not every day S&P went up. You see that some days are up and some are down, but based on the cumulative percentage change, S&P was up about 6% 2 months after the elections. And Dow Jones, similar story. After elections, it went up, but some days are up and some days are down. You see that up, and then down. But overall, based on the cumulative percentage change after 2 months from the elections, Dow Jones went up about 6% as well, right? So about 11% on Nasdaq, about 6% on S&P, and about 6% on Dow Jones in 2020 elections. Let's take a look what happened in 2016. In 2016, you see that Nasdaq also went up after the elections, but not every day. You see lots of fluctuation in 2016 just after the elections. You see that ups and down, but probably after a month or two, market got stabilized. And 2 months after the election, Nasdaq was about 5% from the elections date. And if you take a look, S&P, similar behavior. You see that it was unstable after the elections, ups and down, but gradually it got the stability. And 2 months after the elections, S&P was up about 4%. And Dow Jones 2016 elections, you see that Dow Jones comparatively was more stable compared with S&P and Nasdaq. And 2 months after the elections, based on the cumulative percentage change, Dow Jones was up about 7%. So all three major indices were up in 2016 as well, 2 months after the elections. So you see that 5% on Nasdaq, about 4% on S&P, and about 8% on Dow Jones. So let's take a look what happened in 2012 elections. In 2012 elections, the data tells an entirely different story. Market did not react positive after the elections. You see that market went down after the elections, but after 2 months from the elections date, market tried to recover. It was almost 0% based on the cumulative percentage change on Nasdaq. Now let's take a look what happened for S&P. S&P also similar story after the election went down, but slowly it tried to recover, and 2 months after the election S&P was up about 2% on cumulative percentage change basis. And 2012 election for Dow Jones, similar story. See that Dow Jones were negative after elections and it remained negative for some time. And after 2 months, it got some stability and Dow Jones were up about 1.5% after 2012 elections after 2 months. So it looks like, 2016 and 2020 kind of looks similar, but 2012 data tells a different story. But in my opinion, 2012 data may not be relevant because during those time we see that economy was behaving very differently and we just came out of the recession of 2009 and 2010 during those time. So you can expect lots of volatility in 2012. But to me, the relevant data is 2020 and 2016. If Trump wins the election, probably 2016 data would be more relevant because Trump also won in 2016. So in my opinion, if Trump wins the election, market can behave positive and we can expect about 6 to 8% based on 2016 elections data. But if Kamala wins the election, then you can use 2020 elections as the relevant data because Biden won the election in 2020, belongs to the same party, and 2020 also market went up. So both 2016 and 2020 market went up. So we can expect in 2024, just after the elections and 2 months after the elections, market should be between 8 to 10% on average for Dow Jones, Nasdaq, or S&P. And I also gathered the NVIDIA historical data just after the elections for 2016. So I did the same thing 2 months after 2016 election and few days prior to 2016 elections. I also calculated the percentage change for each day and also cumulative percentage change. And I plotted the graph between the closing dates and also the percentage change based on the cumulative basis. So for Nvidia on 2016 after the election, you see that Nvidia went up, and 2 months after the elections, Nvidia was up about 55%. But one catch here, you see that around 10th or 11th November, there is a big jump. So something happened during that time, and it could be some special event regarding Nvidia. So if we ignore that event, and that caused about 30% upside, right? So if we ignore that and exclude 30% from the 55% upside, and that gives 25% remaining on net basis. So at least we should expect 25% upside on Nvidia after 2 months after the elections. That's what 2016 data tells. I did this analysis for me. I thought it may be a good idea to share my analysis with you guys as well. I hope this analysis will help you understand how market can behave after the elections. I hope you liked the video, and also I uploaded this Excel sheet on my Patreon account. So if you're an exclusive member, you can access this spreadsheet from there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.